I didn't think it was possible for things to get worse for Donald Trump in the Epstein scandal that's swirling and threatening to torpedo his entire administration and his legacy. But it just got a lot worse out of the mouth of Donald Trump, who in a rambling interview speech or whatever it was in Scotland, where he went to run away from his Epstein problems, he not only stuck his foot in his mouth, but he implicated himself even greater than I had ever imagined because of a comment he made off the cuff about Virginia Giuffre and the falling out between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, which the Trump MAGA world has always explained away as Donald Trump figured out he was a creep and barred him from Mar-a-Lago. You've heard Stephen Chung, the White House communications director, say that over and over again. Which totally glosses over the fact they were best friends for 15 years. And that's not the falling out. I had heard and I had reported that the falling out was over a piece of real estate in Palm Beach about 14 years into their relationship, where they were both bidding on the same single family property. And Jeffrey Epstein ended up not getting it, but he bid it up where Trump had to pay like $40 or $50 million to acquire it. And they never spoke after that. The original explanation was terrible. The new explanation is worse. The original explanation was, for Donald Trump's side, he figured out that Epstein was a creep in, let's say 2003 or 2004, and stopped talking to him and banned him from Mar-a-Lago. That begs a lot of questions, even if that were true. If you knew he was a creep, what was the aspects of him that you found creepy? Was it the fact that he was participating in running a child sex trafficking ring and which focused on pedophiles, him being a pedophile, and raping girls? Was that the creepy part? And if that was the creepy part, or any aspect of that, why didn't you report it to the authorities so that hundreds, if not thousands, of other girls and women would not be sexually abused? So that never, for me, got Donald Trump out of the jam and put him in the jam. Because if you thought he was a creep and there were any aspects of it you were about his pedophilia, then you needed to report that to somebody, and you did not. So I never saw how that was a helpful position to take. It now got worse. Now in Scotland, he said the falling out was because Jeffrey Epstein, I guess, had the brass ones to poach an underage 17-year-old girl who was working in Donald Trump's spa at Mar-a-Lago, Virginia Giuffre, and got her over to work with Epstein. She didn't work with Epstein, Trump. She was raped by Epstein. She was sexually abused by Epstein. She committed suicide in April because of her long suffering psychological and physical trauma of her association with Epstein. So for you to say, oh, he took a young girl out of Mar-a-Lago to sexually abuse her, and you're mad about that? That's the part you're mad about? That you lost an employee? This just shows you the demented mental state of Donald Trump. Just the demented mental state of Donald Trump. Now, let me run the clip of what I'm talking about.
Just to button up on Mar-a-Lago, you're saying that Jeffrey Epstein poached two of your staffers. Who were they? Were they young?
I don't want to say two, or I don't want to say any number. You're talking about many years ago. But yeah, he took people. And because he took people, I say, don't do it anymore. You know, they work for me. And he took, beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like, when they steal people, I don't like it.
Mr. President, Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. But just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were young women?
What did they do?
In the spa.
In the spa?
Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told him, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons, that include Virginia Giuffre?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
The facts around Mar-a-Lago is that it was used as a hunting ground for Jeffrey Epstein. And Donald Trump gave Jeffrey Epstein access to Mar-a-Lago, and Mar-a-Lago was used by Jeffrey Epstein, who lived blocks away on Palm Beach, to prey on innocent girls. And he used Galen, whatever her pronunciation is, Maxwell, to do it. All right, so that is the reality. And do I have facts that indicate that Donald Trump knew that he was doing that? No, but I'm a lawyer and I have circumstantial evidence. Donald Trump claims that nothing gets by him, that he's a genius. And so you're a genius. You ran with Epstein. You're seen in videos conducting phony beauty pageants to bring girls and young women, into a phony beauty pageant where you and Epstein are the only judges. You're gawking at women who are cheerleaders, Buffalo Bills cheerleaders, in the ballroom of Mar-a-Lago with a leering Jeffrey Epstein. You party with him in New York and in Palm Beach. You're seen with young women, both of you. You comment that you like young women, and so does Jeffrey Epstein in a New York Magazine article. You travel with him. You know about him hitting on, going after, preying on, being a predator of young staff members at Mar-a-Lago. Michael Wolff, the journalist who did hundreds and hundreds of hours of the Epstein tapes and interviews, he has sworn, and he's been up on Legal AF, that there are pictures of Donald Trump with a young girl on his lap. Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein was asked during his deposition about 20 years ago, a video deposition, whether Donald Trump was with young girls, and he took the Fifth Amendment. So if I'm piecing together the puzzle, this puzzle doesn't have a lot of pieces, and you can see the picture pretty clearly, pretty quickly. So now Donald Trump decides that it is in his best interest to tell the American people that the reason he's annoyed with Jeffrey Epstein, and I guess by extension, Ghislaine Maxwell, another best friend of Donald Trump who he partied with, is that Jeffrey Epstein stole girl staffers from Mar-a-Lago, leaving out the fact that those girl staffers were then sexually abused, and there's over 1,000 victims. Donald Trump doesn't care about that. Donald Trump doesn't care to protect women. This is what happens when you elect a misogynist, serial sexual abuser of women. How many witness testimony do we have to hear at various trials against Donald Trump? Whether it's the E. Jean Carroll case where 3 different women testified about sexual abuse by Donald Trump, or the Stormy Daniels election interference criminal conviction of Donald Trump, where we heard about the catch and kill program, where Donald Trump had sex outside of his marriage and then covered it up by having the National Enquirer and Michael Cohen and others pay off these women for their quote unquote stories. How many of these stories do we need to hear? How many stories did it take us to realize that Tiger Woods was not faithful in his marriage? Did I need 100? No, I kind of got it after the second. But MAGA doesn't want to accept it. Now I want to see how they're going to process him saying that the falling out was effectively over who got to keep a young girl. That's how I interpret it. So I'm going to continue to follow this story to the end. until there is resolution, with the Epstein files completely being released to the public, put up on a drive for us all to read, and the rest. And we'll continue to follow the Ghislaine Maxwell story as well, because that perversity, where he's even considering giving a pardon to a child sex trafficker, should be political suicide for Donald Trump. The fact that he has not even taken it off the table and he's still playing it out, using his criminal defense lawyer masquerading as the number 2 in the Department of Justice, Todd Blanche, who appears to be best friends, as I reported a week ago, best friends with Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer. We're going to see how all this plays out as Congress figures out what they're going to do now that Ghislaine Maxwell is not coming in for testimony unless she gets a pardon and or full immunity. I'm Michael Popok. You're on Legal AF. Take a minute, hit the free subscribe button. Help us continue to grow this channel. Till my next report, it's Michael. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.